Treehouse in the spatial metaverse, where you guys know we come every single Monday in order to have these mind elevating conversations. And it was amazing. I was just telling Tink all about the amazing things that we do here in the metaverse, and I'm so excited to be doing it with you all. So thank you everyone that's watching. Make sure you like, comment, and drop your thoughts in the comments as well. You guys know we love to read it and talk about it as well. As you know, this month or this season, our topic is variation. And for February, we've really been talking about the variations of history. Now, in the first week, we talked about the knowledge of self, right? And the variations of your history, your parents' history, their history, and really understanding where you came from to understand where you're going. And then last week, we kind of took a detour in the variations of love and talked about our different love languages. And this week we will actually be talking about different women that have made history, that have inspired us. And then next week we will talk about the different ways that you can impact history, because you guys know we like to get deep without getting too deep. It's forkable content. So today we want to talk about the who, and then next week we're going to talk about the what, because as you all know, we can use these other examples to apply them to our own lives. And this is exactly why we have these kind of conversations to say, hey, this person made history. Let's see how they did it, because we are making history right now all together as well. Even these podcasts, right? I love seeing the numbers grow and more women say, hey, I found your content. And I always compare it to one of your favorite TV shows on Netflix. Like, are you excited when you find a TV show, but it's really new, so you gotta wait every week, or when there's like 6 seasons deep and you can go and binge watch it? So we create this content for all of those supporters, so we appreciate you all wherever you are in that journey as well. And let's get into the topic. So who are these women that have made history? Well, I know for me personally, I think like we talked about last week, you really have to start that with almost understanding yourself, right? And where you want to be at. There was this quote that was going around when this show Queen of the South was on Netflix, and it was a big thing. And it even stuck with me, where she says, you know, if you have to start showing up as your best self and then telling your best self what you should be doing. And for me, I really took that to heart, because, you know, we have this voice that we hear in our head, you know, that we kind of talk amongst ourselves with. And when I started using that voice and thinking of it as my best self, whether that was just a voice in a suit and my hair really nice, because, you know, I'm also a stay-at-home mom, so maybe I don't look polished most of the time, but when I'm talking to myself like that, that's how I am, hearing myself. And then how can we also now look at others that have been where we are or where we're trying to be, and understand what they did to get to where they are, because we can learn so much from each other. You don't have to make the same mistakes from others. And so with that, it's like, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. You don't have to make the same mistakes as others did. And when we open up these spaces to share with each other, then this is how we are able to do that. So I ask everybody, if there's somebody that has inspired you, to share who that would be. And I can kind of kick that off. For myself, I've declared myself as a meta producer, where I'm, you know, producing these different shows and short films. And for me, it was really interesting, because at the age of like maybe 8 in school, we had to do a project where you had to come and dress up as somebody in order to be able to do a project. And we did a lot of research, and I actually did mine for Oprah Winfrey. And so it was funny. I came to school dressed up in a suit, I had on a wig, and I learned about who she was and everything. And from there, I didn't think about the impact that she had until now, where now I am here as a meta producer years later, and I've looked at that, where it's like, now I have this show at 4 p.m. and I chose that time because of Oprah, right? I'm like, okay, well, she's been in this lane before. And when she was, what time did she have it at that worked well, right? Because she understood, oh, all the moms, all the women, all the people are coming home from work at this time. They want to sit down and watch TV and get this substance and, use that to her advantage. So when I came into this thinking about how I want to put myself in different positions, I looked at how she had gotten to that point, right? To the point where I even established my own business called the P2d Raw Network, just like the OWN network, right? But also in our own way, because, when we see those trailblazers, they say, see a business and then you have to do at least 3% better, or at least in your own way, because I would love to be able to align with others. And I think you align better when you show them that you're not doing what they're doing, but just doing your own thing still as well. And so that is somebody who I would say has really impacted me and my life without me even realizing it, by seeing that representation on the TV, hosting these shows and being confident. And so that is somebody that I would say definitely influenced me. What about you, Tink?
The first person that comes to mind is Wonder Woman. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
That is so funny.
I was raised. Yeah. When I was really, really little, my parents were comic book dealers, and so I was raised around a lot of comic books. And we didn't have a TV, but I was allowed to watch 1 hour of TV when I was my grandma's, which would be Wonder Woman. Make sure that I organized the whole day just to watch Wonder Woman. So I think that would be my first choice.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how you brought your elders into that as well, right? Like an older woman pour that down into you. Because when you said Wonder Woman, the first person I thought of was my mom. And it's so funny because when Wonder Woman came out with, their most recent movie, she was super ecstatic about that. And she went and bought the footy pajamas and she was walking around like Wonder Woman. And, like you said, it was very important for her. And it's so funny because, I always looked at her like that as well, even when we talk about the women in our lives. And so I would say, what is one of those lessons that you kind of picked up from Wonder Woman that she sets that into your life?
I guess the first thing I think is that you can be anything you want to be.
That's deep. That's deep. You could fly. You could do it all, and you're just as strong as Superman, right?
You can be gorgeous, and you can be fierce.
Ooh, I love that. You can't forget the gorgeous part, right? Because that's the cool thing about being a woman, right? Like we can do it all, and we can still be cute and still be womanly. And I think when women really find that balance, that's where we really become and walk into our power, right?
Yeah.
Man, such great.
I'd love to be, in my own world, I perform with honeybees, I dance with bees, so when I'm doing that performance, to me, it's like a superhero, kind of. There's one aspect of it that has superhero, the other aspect has sort of more of a healer or helper person or a nature spirit entity. So for me, that superhero aspect was really huge growing up. Create yourself, create your superhero, be your superhero.
Yeah, especially if it made you bold enough. You said you dance with bees, honeybees? Like what?
Yeah, I dance with honeybees.
Oh, that is, I love that, especially off of you saying you can do anything, right? Like not even just something that you would think is, okay, dancing is amazing, but you can really take it to that next level. And like you said, embrace that bravery and, be involved with nature and evolve it into this next step that you would have never even thought of, like Superwoman. Wow.
Yay! I love that.
Me too. And I know Tiny is in here, but she said that she wasn't able to speak at this time.
She's swimming away.
Yeah, she's over there swimming. That's why I was telling you these spatial bugs are kind of funny sometimes. We have these codes where I try to thumbs up her when she starts swimming, but like I said, she says she can't talk right now. She has little ones running around. But I also
Okay.
seen Paige is here, and I definitely wanted to open the floor and see Paige if you wanted to share about
I
a
don't see
woman
her.
that has been. I don't see Paige either, but I do see her name.
Oh,
Oh,
hi, I'm here.
I, you are. You know what I
Yeah,
had
I'm
to
running
do?
in circles.
Okay, you.
You see me?
I
I'm
had to.
actually on
No.
my phone
Okay.
here using the mobile app. And maybe that. Oops. Now I'm on the couch. I can't navigate it
Oh.
that great. I was kind of stuck behind a
Oh,
part of the treehouse for a little bit. And here I am, though. I'm able to hear you, and I love this conversation. A lot of
Yay!
women have inspired me. Most of all, my mom, and that's who I was going to say also. And the reason why she inspired me so greatly was I would observe the way she was a volunteer in the community, with our synagogue or with other youth groups, the Big Brother, Big Sister program. She was a volunteer on this Jewish women and black coalition in our city in Minneapolis. And I always saw her doing community work. And I thought that was really important. And and then her mom, my grandmother, um, always, like, she wasn't a woman of means, but she always had $5 to donate, and I guess back then $5 was a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it all adds up, like $5 here, $5 there, $5 there. So I really saw, like, the matriarchs of my family doing community service, and that
Yeah.
uh, helped influence the person I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah.
have to totally agree with that one because I was basically raised by women, and my mother was an artist, but all of my grandmother and my two aunts that raised my mother were all they were teachers and nurses and professors that taught nursing. So I just felt like I grew up around people of service all the time. Uh oh.
I definitely agree with
Oh,
you.
oh, great! You're sitting by me now.
Yes, I want to get a nice angle there, and I know I agree with you guys 100%, especially when you talk about the women that you grew up around. I was just having this conversation with my husband yesterday and was saying about how environment is so important because we do what we've seen, right? Like I was telling him, I've always seen my mom, she was never somebody that was afraid to go get a new job, if there was a lack in the household, so I've seen her work 3 jobs or so that why in my life that was what was always like my natural go for it, right? Like, oh well, if I know I need something, then I know I can go get another job. Even if they're like back to back to back to back, I know it's possible, right? So even when I went to, oh, now I got to pay for school, that's what I did. Got out of school, and you're trying to now start businesses, but while you're starting your businesses, you still have to provide. And it's like, okay, well, I know if I want to invest in my dream and pay my bills, then again, I can get a couple jobs and do it all. But, and again, we learn though from these women, right? Because in that I know who my mom is now and still trying to say, hey, we can do things different now also by working smarter instead of working harder. And so that's why I'm really excited that you even mentioned that, because that was one of the things we talked about during that first week, which was you have to know yourself and then think about your parents, right? Because again, these women, like you said, your mom did art and now you just naturally do art. And again, we just start to pick up these things without even realizing it. And that's why it's so important, even for us as women, to continue to pass these lessons on to the next woman, to say, hey, here's how I did this and here's how you can get to that level as well. And it used to be a lot more common. My grandmother, my last grandmother just passed away during COVID, and
Oh, sorry.
it's okay. I thank you for that. But I definitely started to feel a little sadder after, because I'm like, there was still so many questions I had about our, her upbringing and wanting to understand her now that I'm older, and so being able to bridge these different gaps from generations is so vital and I think important, and it's an important part of the conversation for us, so that we can keep that going, right? These traditions and lessons that we've all been passing on that has brought us here to this day.
Right, totally.
And so I see we do also have Octavia that joined. Welcome, welcome. We are currently talking about women that have actually inspired us and made history as well. So today, this month, February is Black History Month. So our theme is talking about variations of history. So our question is just, who are women that have inspired you, and also women that have made history that have inspired you as well. So I know we talked about our moms and grandmothers and those women in our lives that have influenced us personally, but I want to take it another step as well and ask, what was a woman in you all's life that inspired you as the business moguls? Because, hey, we're all here in the metaverse, so we all have this eye that we see this, digital revolution that is happening, and we're in it, and we're being a part of history as well. And so I'm very curious to see if there's any women that have inspired you all to get to this point here. And of course, anyone can answer that question. I mentioned Oprah Winfrey for myself as a meta producer. Tink mentioned Superwoman as a person who can do it all. So did anybody else have any other superwoman that has influenced them in their journey? And if not, all of our watchers as well, whether you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, I want you guys to be dropping it in the comments as well. You guys know we will always go back, read it, comment, and we'll bring it up during the next conversation during Women here in the Metaverse, because this week we're just talking about the who, and next week we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the what, and we're going to talk about how women are making history, because again, as you guys see it, we are making history right now by being a part of it, by building it. And it was women that seen that opportunity, right? Like Tink mentioned, Superwoman, I think, was the first superhero woman that
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was the first woman that was a superhero, right? And started blazing that trail. And so again, that's what we are doing by actually coming into the metaverse together, and we're blazing these trails to show again other women that there is space, because this digital revolution is happening, and it's going to happen with or without us. And the best way that we can make sure that the future works for us is by being a part of building that now. And so I always commend any person that, so it's like, hey, if you click on that link and you get in the metaverse, you're learning, right? Especially with spatial. I love how it makes it so easy. You can just join on your phone and you learn. It's like, hey, I don't even know how to walk, but then you press a button and then you learn how to walk. And then it's like, oh, well, I don't know how to sit. You press the button and you learn how to sit. And it's just, you keep going down the rabbit hole from there.
Absolutely. So I've been learning about some Black women in history. Over in Horizon Worlds, the creator named Shay Arts has built a world called Melanated Arts, and every week she updates it. And the last few weeks have been Shirley Jackson, Patricia Bath, and Valerie Thomas. And I learned so much about these women. They're giants in their field. They created like mathematical amazingness and even the technology we use today with like these lenses in our Oculus is due to some of their research and innovation. So it's really exciting. I recommend checking out that world.
That is amazing.
Yeah, they are great. Melanated Arts.
She makes some great worlds. She makes some great stuff.
Yes, I've heard a lot of really cool things about Horizon Worlds. I do not have a VR set, so I tend to be stuck on platforms where I can get on my PC or on my mobile device. But Horizon is definitely one of those where I hear about these awesome experiences, and I'm so happy to see more of you joining spaces like Spatial, where we can all kind of, cross pollinate. We also just were on another metaverse called Stageverse last week, so we're all about trying, the different metaverses, learning how to use each of them, the tools and the great people that are already there building. So I appreciate all of you for being here, sharing that. And shout out to Shea Arts for doing that, because I think it's also about that representation, right? Like you said, just having a space to be able to go to and look at that and learn that is amazing. And that's because she's here and thought of that, but if that artist wasn't here, then that space wouldn't be here. And again, that's how we can talk about making history and being that impactful without even realizing it, right? And so I think sometimes we downplay where we are now because maybe we don't see the masses and a lot of people, but these are those small steps that start to add up to those big strides in the long run. So shout out to Shea Arts and the spaces out there. And yeah, I'm definitely inspired by those kind of builders as well, in a sense, where, like you said, you don't even realize the technology that they've built that we're using and who has made it. And so I think it's very interesting for us to be able to talk about that. Was there anybody else wanted to mention? Oh, and I can actually see you now sitting there as well, so that's awesome.
Oh good.
Perfect.
Well, I was thinking about my mom because being an artist in the 80s, she had to she was making large-scale public artworks, and she mostly was her competition was almost all men. So just that she had to always do presentations to architects and men, that she really had to break some boundaries through that, and I was always proud of her and learned a lot from her.
Yeah. And sometimes I know us as women like to say, we are here in the space and, we're making our presence, but sometimes we don't like to acknowledge, how uncomfortable that is in the beginning, right? And when you are in these male dominant spaces and you have to make that known, but you're a woman, so, they're going to use that, to say, good or bad. And so it takes women like your mom, like you said, to make that space anyways, right? Like you said, despite it being a male-dominated space, she's there creating. And again, when we open up that door, we inspire so many others to, again, see how we did that and follow down that path. And so that's amazing. I would love to see some more of you all's art. And I'm excited. What kind of art does she make?
She used to do large-scale fused glass panels for things like police stations or libraries.
Wow.
It was a 1% for our project. So any corporate or large government building, 1% of that budget goes to art.
Awesome. And so is that kind of where your art is as well, or did you kind of take it in your own direction?
I used to do bronze and terrazzo floors with her, but now I'm back to just doing my own personal work. And I do have one gallery here, which isn't finished, but I'm building it in Spatial. But mostly I've been putting my energy in Horizon, doing some digital asset stuff, and in the Metaverse, I started the artist district. So that's where my energy is right now.
That is very exciting.
Connecting artists and really Paige was the one who brought me here into the Metaverse to begin with. So, yay, Paige.
Yes, and have you felt like ever since you've been into the Metaverse has helped you really cultivate that artist or network of artists like you're trying and envisioning?
Yeah, it's been such a nice change to meet world artists. And I live part-time in Mexico and part-time near Portland, Oregon. So, I feel like I've met more artists and interesting people than I have in the last 10 years. So, It's been awesome.
I definitely agree, right? Because, hey, we're all probably in different states right now, sometimes on different continents. And I think that is one of the exciting things again about this revolution is like this global idea on you being able
Yes.
to meet people that you would have never ran into before. Because I'm sure, you know, I mean, I don't know how the universe works necessarily, but I don't know if we would have ran into each other where we'd be sitting in a treehouse. You know, usually our treehouse is also in Tulum, actually. But, you know, who would have known? We wouldn't be in a treehouse in Tulum here having this conversation every Monday. So, again, I love
Right.
these spaces where we can actually, like you said, bring people together, have these conversations, and keep bringing more. And once we actually have this space, which is, you know, one of the most exciting parts,
Yes.
like we are just getting started. Everything that we're doing now, again, are all these steps that are about to help us into this direction that we're heading into, which is why I wanted to definitely have this
Absolutely.
conversation today about where we're moving in this direction that we're heading into, because again, we can learn from those that have been there and done that. And again, if you guys missed the moral of my story, you don't have to make the same mistakes when you take the time to study others or even connect with others, right? Because we are 4 different women here. And oh, I see Tiny said check the chat. Sorry. So before I go into that, okay. So Tiny says, sorry, I cannot unmute, but my business influence is my mom. I grew up watching her help others with their businesses, doing taxes and all kind of jobs. So I started working super early, and I've always had that value because of her. And OMG, the lady who owns Miel Organic Hair, I think her name is Monique. And Monique Rodriguez, she's definitely an inspiring businesswoman too. I think she's got a check from P2d and does so much work in the community and giving back. Yes, amazing. I'm happy that we all brought up our, you know, mom and grandmothers, and again, those
Yeah.
women that poured into us. And then also, you know, different businesses that we seen did well, or different women that we just seen really make an impact, that we seen and, you know, aspire to make that same kind of impact. Because like you said, Tiny, I do definitely see how, you know, she started her business by just making her own hair products. And I think especially as a African American woman, you know, sometimes we get put in this box where it's like you can only be successful in certain ways. And so that's why when we see people like Oprah Winfrey or like Madam C.J. Walker
Absolutely.
that really crushed that box in the beginning to say again, hey, we can do it, you know. Then we see people like, again, this Miel Organics, who is now doing the same thing but in another way and continuing to pour back into that community and showing us again that it is possible. Because, you know, these new generations are different, you know. They don't
Right.
have the same history that we've been learning in a sense. So, you know, maybe they might not know Madam C.J. Walker, but they know Miel Organics. So again, it's just another way for them to
Right,
see
right.
that it is still possible.
Yes.
And so, yes, thank you for sharing that, Tiny. I see your your avatar got tired of swimming and took a seat after that one. So that's awesome. And this is
Pretty
definitely
amazing.
right. And this has definitely been a great conversation today about these different inspiring women. Was there any other women that anybody else had in mind that they wanted to shout out? I know I will also say Tavonia Evans. Shout out to Tavonia Evans. I actually wanted to bring her here into Women in the Metaverse for one of these Mondays, because she actually started her own cryptocurrency and is doing a lot of things
Ooh, yeah.
with trying to get, she calls it the guap coin, and it's supposed to be like a coin based around kind of the African American community, but helping us, you know, understand the value of the dollar. And I think with her, she's always just pushing that financial
That's
education.
amazing. It's great.
Yeah, you know, and then also putting it out there, but super still down to earth. Like I said, I feel like I can reach out to her and have her come into this space and speak with us. And again, that's what needs to be happening in this moment where these founders are in the community, connecting with other communities. And so I also see you said Aquarius Maximus. So shout out to who is Aquarius Maximus and what are they into?
That is Tavania's name in Horizon.
Oh,
She's amazing. She's a super champ, and she has presented at the women's summits that are part of our Women in Horizon group, and she is really inspiring.
Yeah, she really is, and I think she really speaks really well. And again, that's something that inspires me, who, you know, I haven't always necessarily been the most confident when it comes to this public speaking, because I'm not always the most, like, not necessarily well spoken, but, you know, I just like to be kind of in the background and add my 2 cents and not be in the spotlight. But seeing women like that early on when I was getting into crypto, I knew that I wanted to help spread this education and awareness. And when I seen her, I was like, yes, we can do it. And you don't have to, you know, be whatever, you know, you think you have to look like to be able to educate others on this stuff that's happening. And so, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter how big or little, we are all making this inspiration, and not even realizing, you know, that you all actually have had an experience with her, and that I've, you know, watched her from a distance, and how we are all again in this space aware and building together simultaneously still. Like, that is just always like the most magical part to me, that we're all adding to that without us even knowing.
Exactly.
And so I see.
Well, here, let's to women empowerment and really strengthening our network across platforms.
Yes. I love it.
Clapping is happening, but I'm clapping.
If you're on your computer,
some other groups to keep an eye out for are the XR Women. They meet every Wednesday morning on a Web3 platform named Verbella through the IRLN campus, and also the Women's World in Infiniverse that Tink's Playground and Sherry Holmes founded together.
Yeah, actually, just Sherry. Sherry's done a whole Women's World section. Yeah, she's amazing.
Incredible.
I'm proud of her.
That is amazing.
And this week in Horizon is the Black Future Summit by diverse Black women in Women in Horizon.
Oh yeah, we're actually a part of that with the Harlem Film House and Boogie.
Thank you, Paige, for doing so much work on that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we just
Excellent.
had a Twitter space with them on Spatial on Wednesday, and then we are actually going to have a talk back on the last day of the month on the 28th. We have a Raw Meta Mall that's coming out, and I know they're bringing their Mall of the Metaverse. So we're going to do like a collab of the malls and have a talk back where we get to kind of wrap up Black History Month and get into those nitty-gritty things again. But I love all those different organizations that you mentioned. Thank you for sharing. And to all of our listeners, I'm telling you guys, every single week you see the different women that are popping in here, and you see that it's not even just us in here that are doing this, but so many other women on different platforms doing different things, but have this same mission to bring women together and become stronger by doing it together. I do also see Nomad Verse in the comments saying that as well. So shout out to you for stopping by, and all the strong women here. I definitely agree with that. And I do also see you said you're coming from Iran in real life with the Women Life Freedom campaign. Did you want to share more about that as well? And if not, it's okay. I know usually the chat is easier for some. Oh, yeah, I see you said you can't talk. Okay, it's 4:17. Awesome, but glad to see you here. And then if you wanted to share those details for any of those events, please feel free to drop it in the chat. You can share the dates, times, links, anything like that, and everyone can be able to follow there. Or you can always catch the replay, because you can find this on our podcast, which is on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, and iHeartRadio. So all of our listeners, make sure you go really look into this and be a part of it, right? Because you see, all you have to do is click the link and you'll be right here, a part of the conversation and a part of building this network of women that are helping build the future. So I appreciate everyone that has been a part of today's conversation for Women in the Metaverse. Did anybody have any last things that they wanted to share about inspirational women or just women in general in the Metaverse? No, awesome. I see Nomad ended it with a thank you for the follow. Yes, next time definitely bring with you some women. We do this every single Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. I appreciate you for saying I did amazing. Like I said, sometimes I get a little tongue-tied and overwhelmed with that spotlight, but I appreciate everyone for being here and joining in the conversation, because I will sit here and talk to myself, and my viewers know that, but I always have a lot more fun when others are here actually talking with me. So I appreciate you all sincerely, and everyone that's listening, you already know the drill. Drop it in the comments, let us know what woman has inspired you, and come back next Monday at the same time, where we'll be back talking about how women have made and impacted history before, so that again we can take those tips as we continue to blaze forward. See you then. Peace.